Greetings, friends. Welcome once again on this fine July 20th late afternoon or early evening. And in this video, I want to distill to you the wisdom that I gained from failing in my first business. It was a failure. So we all fail in life. And the joke's on me in this video for sure. But yeah, I think it's healthy to learn from your mistakes, and then you have to stay strong, don't get destroyed, and then you can go on and succeed on a better path with a better strategy. So before I got involved with these business ventures overseas, I participated in a language institute. You can't call it a school technically because it's not associated with the government. The government has a monopoly on literally using the name school, so we have to call it an institute. And I got into this because I met this man. Let's call him Juan. That's not his real name, but he's a Colombian guy, and I've been very friendly with Latinos, and I speak Spanish, and I don't know how, but just through some twist of fate, I met Juan, and his pet project, his baby, was starting this language school in a working class neighborhood of Toronto, nearby where I am. And he was impressed that I had the ability in languages, and I'd studied languages before. So at that time, I was in touch with my Ghanaian friend. I was ready to go overseas, but I wasn't sure really when that was going to be. And I was 28 years old, and it's like, I really wanted to, get something going in my life. I don't want to be working for someone else. I want to start my own thing. So it was the right timing. So, but the mistakes over 2 years, because this whole affair lasted about 2 years before I got out of it. And it went okay in the first year, but after that I started to realize some of the flaws. And eventually I got out, and I lost money. I don't know if I need to tell you how much, but it was in the tens of thousands of Canadian dollars. So yeah, it was, obviously I've been blessed in life to even be able to be in that position. But certainly I've distilled it into about 5 or 6 different, factors in the diagnosis of death here. And the first was that Juan wasn't the right guy to be working with. My intuition, which I talk about, I wasn't really following it very well, because he had good intentions. He's a good guy, but actually it was awkward. It was always awkward with Juan, and he made bad business decisions. So I'm not going to go into detail. I already told the whole story in an older video. So this is just, the distilling that story into the basic points. So Juan was not wrong business partner. That's the first mistake. Wrong location. That's the second mistake. Sure, a working class area has lots of construction workers and immigrants, people from Latin America, people from Portugal, principally in this part of the city. There's all sorts of different groups, and they all need to learn English, but there's no real desire to learn English. So that's the problem. Maybe it would be different in a different neighborhood. Perhaps Russians are different, perhaps Chinese are different. Maybe they have more of that education in their culture. So in this neighborhood, it's a diverse neighborhood, but maybe working class area not the right place to be, because really people have to pay money for the course. You have to hook them up with a teacher. Sometimes you have to teach them yourself. So I was teaching at the same time as I was organizing these activities. And that would be the third problem. As much as I'm comfortable with languages, at the end of the day, being a private language instructor, it wasn't so fulfilling. It can be fulfilling if you have a good relationship with your student, but having to work with random people time after time, it's going to be kind of wearing. It depends on the person. And that's mostly what it was. It was private tutoring, because, if we were really successful and could get a huge group, that would be great. That would be lots of money. So that would be the third thing. Language teaching is great. I like languages, but as terms of a business, it's not that rewarding. There's a lot of work you got to put in for a relatively low payout. It's not a lucrative business. Of course it's not. It's just languages. And a lot of the people don't actually want to be there. The great people, worked with great Portuguese, Argentinian guy, great people. But we never really made that much progress, because learning a language is a huge commitment, and they're in Canada to work and make cash, and the only reason they have to learn English is to pass a test for the government. So it's not that serious. And so number 4 would be lack of focus in our marketing strategy. We were trying to market to all the different groups for our language services. I mean, we're offering different languages, not just English, but Portuguese, Spanish, French, whatever you want, we'll offer it. In principle, there's nothing wrong with offering different languages, but we were marketing to international students, corporate groups, like, oh, you're a corporate client, we'll organize it through your business, and of course there's a nice markup for that. And then, of course, the immigrants that I was talking about, they need their English. That would be another category. Children, school children who need math tutoring, even beyond languages, math tutoring or French tutoring for students. So that's the parents of these kids. And then, I don't know, you could probably think of another category or another 2 categories. But the point is, we're not focused. So if you try to catch all the fish, you'll end up catching no fish. And that's essentially what happened to us. We had success in different areas, but no consistent success. So we did secure a corporate course or 2, but then we fucked it up because the teacher we supplied wasn't as professional as we were hoping for, and they didn't give the students the right impression. So we screwed it up, and then the corporate course didn't continue. It would have been very lucrative. We had contacts with international students. We met with all sorts of people from all sorts of different fields. And, at the end of the day, the chemistry between me and Juan wasn't so great. And error number 4 or number 5, this would be the wrong philosophy, that it must continue at all costs. I was backing this up. Juan, he's from Colombia. He's 18 years in Canada. He's a Canadian citizen, but he didn't have any money. And as I later found out, he was hugely in debt. He was like $8,000 in debt with his credit card, and he was asking me for more money to help bail him out. And at that point, I was like, okay, see you later, buddy. I mean, I wish you all the best. And I parted ways. And I am slowly getting some of the money back, but like I said, I lost tens of thousands of dollars. But I accept full responsibility. It's not necessarily Juan's fault. He just had bad ideas, and I followed him because I was like, well, I was younger, more naive, and I was willing to go along with it because it was his baby. I was joining on, but we were equal partners. It was a partnership, and I got worried about being liable for bank responsibilities. So the philosophy of me that was wrong was that it can fail at any cost. Or it must not fail, in other words. But no, it can fail. You can always cut your losses. If it's not working, then get out, save your losses, replan, and launch that boat again. If your ship is sinking, don't be bailing out a sinking ship. Let it sink. Get in the nearest lifeboat. So our Institute for Learning wasn't really succeeding. It was always sinking. I was always bailing it out because I've been blessed to have the money in the first place to be able to invest in this business. So that would be the last thing. And then I guess the final diagnosis would be we made a bunch of individual stupid decisions, like taking on a very burdensome lease. We didn't have the cash flow. We'd be making money in the summertime, in the springtime, when there's more people that want to learn. In the wintertime, it can get dead. It's a very seasonal thing, okay? Language learning is not the most lucrative business. So taking on that lease, it was based on faith. Yes, things are going to get better. We saw improvement, but then it wasn't consistent enough. So we were both blindly, idealistic that things were going to get better. And then along with that, we decided to renovate the basement, to rent it. Big mistake, cost much more money than we expected. And then in the end, we didn't even end up staying in that place. So we ended up improving the property for the landlord, who's an asshole who doesn't invest in fixing up anything. And we improved their property. We're only there 2 years. And I got out of the business. And then we associated with the wrong people. That would be the last thing. We just associated with a bunch of bozos. Our co-tenants originally, before we took on the whole lease, they ran some employment agency that went under. It was the shadiest thing ever. They were stealing people's resumes. The guy was so in debt too. He was a Cuban guy. So all these, Latinos, different people, it's fucked up. So there's my prognosis. Nothing wrong with failing in life as long as you can survive and learn from your mistakes and build something better in the future. I don't mind to laugh at myself. That's fine. Okay, amigos. Hope you enjoyed that. Hasta luego.